pretty lucky to catch you here in Matamata today. What have you been up to for the past couple of months?
I've been a bit busy actually. I've been away for 4 months. So I went to the Caribbean where I coached the Trinbago Night Riders over there.
Yep.
We won the title there, which was good. And then we went on to the UAE where the IPL was going on. We had, I coached the Kolkata Night Riders there. We didn't win that one, but that's okay. And then come back, a couple of weeks quarantine, and then back home. And then sort of straight into it. I'm doing a bit of commentary work for Spark Sport.
How did the love of thoroughbreds start?
Well, I sort of started with standardbreds actually. I grew up and watched all the docks and weeds and that. I've been away for a while, okay? So, we'll sort them out in the next few weeks. But yeah, I grew up in South Dunedin, and on the back of where we lived was Forbury Park, the harness racing track down there.
Yep.
So we're kind of always in and around, well, the races and the track. And then sort of I started there, followed them a little bit, more so just having a punt occasionally. I wasn't hands-on at all with horses or anything, and I'm still not really, to be honest. And then sort of made a little bit of money, and I thought, oh, I'll take a share in a racehorse, and had a horse called Danish Ruler right at the start, which was an old Viking ruler gelding, and he won a few races and that. And then I actually sat on a plane. We're on the way back from Fiji. I sat next to a lady, and I was reading the form guide, and Danish Ruler was running that day.
Yep.
And she says, oh, do you like horses? I was like, yeah. She said, oh, my name's Celia. I was like, oh, hey Celia, I'm Brendan. She said, here's my brother's number. If you're ever travelling through the Waikato, give him a call. He owns Waikato Stud. So I rang Mark, and he said, when you're playing in Hamilton next, why don't you bring a few of the boys out to Waikato Stud, and we'll have a bit of a day out. So, okay, great. So I met Mark, instantly we hit it off.
Yep.
We're like, straight away sort of just, got on really, really well, and it kind of grew from there. And then since then, now we're 7 or 8 years later, now I live a couple of kilometres down the road from Mark, and spend a lot of time with him. We've got our own horse thing going on, so it's really, really cool, and we love it. It's sort of, I'm quite an impatient person, and I think horses teach me and teach us to play the long game, and I also think there's a lot of elements to the racing game which is similar to cricket, and the nurturing and preparation and all getting yourself ready for race day, or getting your animals ready for race day.
How much land have you got here, and how many horses have you got in total?
So we've got 10 acres here, so it's a bit of a plastic farm really, but it's good. We're only a couple of kilometres from Matamata, and land's not exactly cheap around here, so it's more than enough for us. In terms of horses, we've got 3 broodmares now. We've got the old girl over there, Pinot Gris. We've got Turkey Low here. We've got another broodmare called TikTok, who is on the way back from Australia. She's in foaled exceedance.
Talking to you a couple of years ago, the dream was to have the little bit of land and look at the horses in the paddock. So is this the dream?
It is, yeah, it is, Em, that's right. It is a dream, and even just coming out, you feed them every morning, a little bit of a touch point with them, and seeing them develop and grow. I hadn't seen some of my yearlings for 4 or 5 months because I've been away. I went down yesterday down to Waikato and saw them, and the 2 of them ran straight up to me, and hey, I'm no horseman, no horse whisperer or nothing like that. But that sort of is the element that it's a bit like a dog, like they become your friends, and you follow them, and you have a lot of affection for them. So this is a dream for us, and yeah, we're really enjoying ourselves.
So the last horse to feed on the feed run this morning, tell me about this guy.
Yeah, this old boy, he's 10. We call him Ben, but his name is Nevis. So he actually won a Lingfield Derby trial.
Okay.
Up in the UK, and then he was bought to target by Lloyd Williams. He was bought to target the Melbourne Cup. I think they paid pretty big money for him. I don't know the exact amount, but they reckon it was roughly around sort of $1 million. He won a pretty nice race in Australia, and then he had a bit of a tumble, and he never really sort of made his way back from there. So I bought him off an online site over in Australia for $6,000.
When you were away,
when I was in Fiji, drinking Fiji bitter, that's right. It seemed like a good idea. Yeah. And then we brought him back, and he'd recovered from his injury, and then so we sent him down south to try and target the Winter Cup. He had one start for Michael Pittman, and then he unfortunately did a tendon. So then we brought him up here, and now he looks after, he's on his own at the moment, but normally when we've got sort of young horses who are spelling, he'll look after them, he'll go on with them and teach them, show them the ropes. And
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool.
If you could make one change in racing, what would that be?
I think it's probably the stigma around racing, which I'd like to see change. It's not just about, you know, sort of these animals are there to service people's betting or desires. They are wonderful animals, which is an absolute amazing sport where they are cared for, looked after. They enjoy the racing careers that they have as well, and they're catered for and looked after beyond racing. And hey, I'm not naive enough to know that not every horse is like that, but if we could improve that, that would be great. But maybe just the stigma around it and try and get more people involved in it. And we've seen some younger people enter the sport too. There's some great mentors in the sport, and I think the younger people that are now entering it, I think, are the boys get paid, for instance, and what they're trying to do. I think that brings a lot of enthusiasm to the sport, and hopefully a lot more understanding of what the sport is all about.
What got you hooked on racing?
When they fan round that last bend and they all kind of fan out, and you've got a live chance, and you think about over the final sort of furlong, you start thinking about when you bought that horse, or when you searched for it, or when you were looking at the yearling sales, and you're looking at how it walked and what you liked about it, and checked out the pedigree page, and you put your hand up and you bought that horse, and then you know that with that furlong to go, that your horse has got a live chance in it after spending 2, 3, 4 years preparing for it and looking forward to that moment. That's what got me into the sport. Obviously, we all like to win. We're all highly competitive, but that moment where you're not sure and you just hope, and I think that's the beauty of the sport. It does give you that hope.
How does that thrill compare to a win at cricket?
To be honest, it's probably the only time that I've been able to experience that outside of cricket, and maybe that is the parallels why I like the sport so much, is that thrill that it does give you. I wasn't an overly emotional player. I could handle success and failure the way, providing that I knew that I gave it everything that I possibly could, and if someone was better, so be it. And I think with racing, it's that same sort of thing. As long as, you know, the horse is trying its absolute best, then I can handle success or failure. But when you do succeed, that feeling is pretty hard to replicate anywhere else.